So you want to create a Rubik's Cube that is game ready. Well, you're in luck. I'm going to show two different approaches to that. One of them is as game ready as it gets. The other, not as much, but it's worth knowing. We're going to start out with the not as game ready one, which we're going to add in a cube here. We'll go and shrink it down, make it a little bit more Rubik's Cube sized here. That seems about right. Go and apply your scale there. And then we're going to hop into edit mode, hit A to select all, and we're going to do Control B to bevel. About right there. We'll set segments to be 2 here, and we're already just about done. We do need to go ahead and unwrap this cube though, so we're going to select these edge loops here. See, I'm holding down Shift and Alt to select these full groupings. And if we select those right there, that should be enough. Do Control EM. And also go and just switch it to Shade Smooth here. If we go into our UV editor here, select everything, do UC for conformal, and see what our unwrap looks like. Not too shabby. And now to actually turn this into a Rubik's Cube, we're going to go back into our layout view here, and we're going to add a few modifiers. We're going to add on an array modifier of 3, and then we're going to add on another array modifier. This one, instead of doing an offset of X, we're going to an offset of Y. And then we're going to add in a third array modifier. And this one, as you can guess, instead of doing X or Y, we're going to do Z. And that will create our Rubik's Cube here. So if we apply all these modifiers, we can go through in object mode and click the drop down and do apply. We can also do Control A and then hit visual geometry to mesh. Now our Rubik's Cube is a little off center here, so let's go and assign this face right here to be our new origin. We'll select it, do cursor to selected, then go into object, set origin, origin to 3D cursor, zero out our location here. And we have our Rubik's Cube. And go reset our cursor. But now we have our Rubik's Cube. If we hop into UV editing, we'll see all of our UV islands here are actually stacked on top of each other. So we'll take these islands, select them all, and we can do a pack islands. We'll allow rotation this time around, and we want to have an 8 divided by 256 to have 8 pixel margin. Pack all of those, and that is a little bit rough. I definitely think we could fit our islands in a little bit better than that. So let's go ahead and do pack islands again here. And instead of an 8 pixel margin for a 256 map, let's do more of a 4 pixel margin. And that's a little bit better, but I still think we can push it a little bit further. So we're gonna do, let's just do 8 divided by 1024. That should give us a pretty close match. Perfect. Don't waste space on this, especially with our middle cube that's in here that we're not even gonna really see. And let's take it in a texture paint, and we're gonna use Ucupaint again here. We're gonna create a new one. We're gonna call it Rubik's Cube, and we're just gonna do color, metallic, and roughness. We can turn off normal for this one, and let's go ahead and add in a new solid color. This is going to be the black base that is our Rubik's Cube. It's not gonna be fully black though, because realistically, our Rubik's Cube here is not actually fully black. So do that, base, add that, and we're gonna override our metallic, set it to 0, and override our roughness, and we're gonna make it a fairly shiny color here, about 0.27. Now we can add in a new solid color with color attributes mask, and this one we're gonna do the blue section first. Go into edit mode, and we can select these faces here, set those to white, set, and we're going to create a nice blue color here. That looks about right. Do another color attributes mask. We're going to call this one yellow, and I am trying to make this match a Rubik's Cube in terms of placement, but if it's a little off, you can't blame. Create a new one, and you get the gist of this. We're just going to go through and create all the different colors here. So I'm going to speed this process up. And then our last color here is going to be green. The green it has is kind of this darker green, so we're just gonna try to match that here. That's probably as close as we can get it. And there we have it. A very simple Rubik's Cube. And it doesn't look too bad. Although 1,458 faces for basically a cube, that's just wasteful. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Don't forget to name it. But I'm going to show you some tricks on how to texture paint this, because if we try to texture paint the shape of a Rubik's Cube, if we compare it to our actual Rubik's Cube here, getting perfect cube shapes to texture paint is a bit of a nightmare within Blender, because the brush is only round. We can create a custom stencil that's going to give us that shape perfectly. Let's go and hide our Rubik's Cube here. And this cube here is going to be our newbie Rubik's Cube. Let's go and apply scale, and we'll go and set the bottom to be our 3D cursor, and then we'll duplicate this cube, hide our original, also hide in render view, very important for this. And we're going to apply our material, go into shading, change it from principled BSDF, just be a color node here with, that's going to be pure white, it's just pure white. And the reason we're using color is because it's not going to be affected by light, instead, whereas a principled BSDF is. So we're going to take advantage of that to render out a custom stencil that we can use to create the Rubik's Cube look very quickly and very easily. So I'm going to add on an array modifier here. I'm going to do 3, but instead our offset is going to be about 1.1, and add in another array modifier with an offset of y on 1.1. Now we don't need to do a z, just that. And from there we're going to add on a camera here. Our camera, we need to 0 out the rotation, but we're going to move it up on the z axis a little bit here. We also want to have it centered. We're just going to apply our modifiers here, then do object set origin to geometry, and that will center it out here. Now if we look through our camera by hitting 0 and switch over to render view, we can see what this looks like. We want our camera to, instead of having perspective here, we want to change that to be an orthographic camera. And we'll change our orthographic scale to have this perfectly like that. About point value of 0.61 seems to do it. Set our render setting to be a resolution 128 by 128. Go and render that out. And look at our image here. It looks pretty good. We're going to save that as a Rubik's Cube brush here. Overwrite that cube brush we had. Then we can go and exit out of render view, delete that camera, we don't need it, and we can also delete that, we don't need it either. Bring back our original cube here, and let's hop into texture paint. Create a new Ucupaint setup. We're going to call it Rubik's Cube Simple. Same thing as before, we're going to add in a solid base, which is going to be almost pure black. Add in custom metallic of 0, custom roughness of about 0.24. Add in a new image of 256 by 256. Name doesn't really matter at this point. We're going to do paint to paint hard here. We're going to go and add a texture mask here. Hit new to assign that texture on here. And then we're going to open up our cube brush and set the texture mask to be stencil. We can move our stencil around by holding Alt and right clicking. Holding Shift and Alt will let us adjust the scale. So we're going to make sure our whole UV space is in view. And we're just going to move our texture brush right there. And let's do red first. To get that, make sure you don't have a texture set up within your texture mode. Just make sure it's only in texture mask. And do it again. Undo that a little bit. There we go. And let's do blue. And voila. And before we do that, we can set up our custom peg target, of course. Which is going to be our MRO. R is going to be metallic. B is going to be roughness. And do custom resolution 256 by 256. We'll set up a little bit of samples, turn on AA, bake it out. And there we have it. A super low poly, optimized, game ready Rubik's Cube. It doesn't really get more optimized than that. If we wanted to, we could adjust these settings a little bit to try and get sharper black edges in here, or just make a slightly larger texture map. Either one will work. Oh, don't forget to name this one too.